Thank you for joining the Once Changing the World, India's first future tech meets sustainability podcast. And today, I'm delighted and honored to have with me Professor Chetan Solanki, who's a renowned solar scientist, innovator, researcher, philosopher, and a professor at IIT Bombay. He's also the author of 8 books and over 100 research papers. Dr. Solanki has been referred to as Solar Man of India and also Solar Gandhi. His Energy Swaraj Movement is a stepping stone towards energy access, energy sustainability, and climate change mitigation. He's on 11 years Energy Swaraj Yatra through a solar bus to bring awareness about climate change. And currently, he is on his mission. He's in Dehradun speaking to us. And the topic of discussion today is going to be India's climate crisis and mitigation with solar energy. So, Professor, really appreciate and truly honored to have you on the show. Why don't we start with maybe talking about fossil fuels and the role it's played in accelerating the world's climate crisis?
If everything that has happened on this planet in terms for the climate change, I think the single-handedly the blame goes to the carbon-based fuels. Ever since we got hold of coal in about 1850s, first time we started using coal. Around 1900, we started using crude oil, and around 1950, we started using the natural gas. And then beyond that, the exponential growth in the all these fuels. So today, though we are using coal, oil, gas, solar, wind, biomass, hydro, nuclear, whatnot, but most of people are probably not aware that even today, all over the world, the average energy consumption from carbon fuels is almost 84-85%, which means solar, wind, biomass, hydro, nuclear is only 15%. It also means that 85% of your and mine and everybody's activity generates carbon dioxide. And every time when we burn this fuel, whether it's coal or petrol or LPG or diesel or CNG, the byproduct is carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. So, so I think everything is because of these fuels, which has Mother Nature has taken millions of years to actually produce them, and we, the modern people, have taken 1 century, just 1 century to get them out and like a genie, put it in the sky, and they're all doing the wonders they are supposed to do, heating the planet. I never blame the fuels as such, because they are by themselves nothing, right? It's all humans that they have done it. So blame is not the fuel, but the humans who are behind using these fuels.
Thank you for sharing that insight on fossil fuel being the single largest responsible for the climate crisis. And I think, rightfully. I mean, it's not just not the fuels; it's us. Though we currently have alternatives to fossil fuels, but still there is some kind of a resistance, and because of which I think 2024 has been the hottest year. Many parts of India has experienced consistent temperatures over 50 degrees. And before we started the conversation, you said you're in Dehradun, it's around 42 degrees over there. 29th of May, a temperature above 52 degrees was reported in Delhi. Bangalore and Delhi and many other cities are facing water crisis, while Manipur is currently flooded. So there's these erratic weathers, which has completely become a norm. Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai is in the top list of the most polluted cities in the world. So, right. I mean, we spoke about fossil fuels. How serious is India's climate crisis, and how can we mitigate India's climate crisis?
Well, number one, there's nothing called India's climate crisis. There's nothing called. Climate is global. And whether you emit or your neighbor is emitting doesn't matter. Whether your country is emitting or your neighboring country is emitting doesn't matter. So carbon dioxide has no boundaries, So there is nothing called India's climate crisis. But overall, the world climate crisis is extremely serious. The water is already neck deep, Unfortunately, the leaders of the world, the political leaders, the policy leaders, the academic leaders, the scientific leaders, the media leaders are not even understanding this and not talking about this. So I see a big problem among everywhere. I mean, I call them 6 Ps basically, right from the parents. Parents, I don't think they are fully aware about the cause and effect kind of understanding. Then the professors, then policymakers, then politicians and professionals and press. I think none of this category actually understand the cause and effect, and that's why all over the world, what people are trying to do, they are beating around the bush. They're all beating around the bush, and as the World Environment Day is approaching, everybody is writing about plant trees, plant this, plant. I mean, plantation of trees is great, but what people don't understand is that, and I keep saying, hello, hold on, planting trees is not going to solve your problem. Doesn't matter how many trees you plant. So that's why I'm saying that most people, including very educated, do not even understand the problem very well, and therefore they are not able to address the solution. And therefore, despite Paris Agreement, COP meetings, scientific development, technological development, economic growth, problem of climate crisis is rising every single year.
So we are in a drastic situation. And thank you for saying that it's not India's climate crisis. It's the world's climate crisis. The reason I kind of said that is because if you see, I mean, globally, whether it's COP28, whether it's IPCC, they are all playing blame games. The large countries are pointing out to the smaller countries, saying, you polluted earlier. Now we are being economically empowered, so we will also pollute. I mean, what? So it's a constant blame game going over there without anything constructive coming out. How do you see the world going beyond the blame game and achieving a sustainable development together? Because, like you rightfully pointed out, I think the world is so interconnected. What happens at a certain place can disrupt the entire world. But here we are living in our own pockets, creating our own borders, and thinking that the climate crisis is not going to hit us. It's we will deal with it when it comes to, but it's there staring at us globally. No matter if you're sitting in Switzerland, which has got better weather or climate, or sitting in a certain part of Bangladesh or India where it's really hot. I mean, it applies. So how do we go beyond this blame game and achieve sustainable development together for the entire world?
Well, I mean, you cannot. the manner, as I said, right? All 6 categories, the 6 Ps, right? They don't understand the basics, and including Niti Aayog and what Paris, all this meetings that keep taking place, the big leaders. Because, Eddie, let us understand where the problem is. And the blame game, I'm sure, is a short recipe for a disaster. I guarantee you, the human life will not be there, maybe 80, 100, maybe 150 years from now, if we continue to behave in this manner, because there is no end to the blame game, right? And it's not going to solve the problem. And though India is correct, for example, technically saying that, look, guys, we have not done it and it's our turn to grow. That's technically correct argument. But I keep telling all our leaders that, hello, guys, if 140 crore people, if 1.4 billion people, if 17% billion people says that, look, guys, we are going to grow no matter what happens, then I think we are looking at the doomsday very soon. So what I suggest is, how do we go about it is, there is saying that in every problem, you can look for an opportunity. Here, there is a problem that India is facing, or for that matter, many countries are facing, developing countries are facing, that we want to grow, but there's a big constraint of growing without carbon emission. How do I now relook the whole situation? And can I turn into my favor and create a different energy ecosystem where I generate energy, which is independent of this, connections, global connection, which is, there right now, and create a very robust, very powerful, very localized, independent local energy ecosystem. Now, as I said, as you already said, that if war is happening in Russia, thanks to Russia for giving us a cheap oil. Otherwise, your and my vegetable prices would have been higher right now, right? So that interconnectedness is a dangerous thing, very dangerous. We have not understood how world has become fragile, and this fragility comes from the energy, because only few countries, holds a lot of oil and gas, and everybody is dependent. So that fragility is very dangerous. And if we can go beyond the carbon fuels, and if we can create, as I said, localized energy generation and consumption, I think we'll be much, much better off. And we will not be solving just problem of climate crisis. We will also be solving problem of jobs. India is such a young country. We need a lot of jobs. How do the jobs will be created? Not by automation, not by artificial intelligence. Job will be created by decentralizing the production and consumption. That is what the nature of decentralization is. And because energy drives everything, everything. And when I'm wearing shirt, it is because of the energy use. When I brush my teeth, that is also energy use. When I'm using a computer, that is also energy use. When I drink water from glass, a glass itself has taken energy. So my life and your life and everybody's life is fundamentally driven by energy in one way or other. Unfortunately, we are all playing a wrong game of energy. And what we have to do, the solution is move away from the wrong energy, go to the right energy, but do it in the right way and do it at the right time. We are running out of time. So going away from wrong energy to the right energy in the right way at the right time is fundamental, solution and problem definition in one sentence, which most people do not even understand.
The problem is so deep because I think the world is running aimlessly in a race where, because I think everybody, plays the game. We humans have this, self-preservation thing, and right now, I think all businesses work at profit at any cost, growth at any cost. And you pointed out, AI and all of this. I think, there's a race towards building technology which will give a certain undue advantage to that certain organization or a nation. While if we see that tech stack, AI itself, is the technology which is not going to, it's going to obviously give us certain jobs, but it's going to take away so many jobs. It's going to leave people or the entire world jobless. So I think we need to, identify things and find technology stack. I'm not saying that I'm not against any technology, but I think we need to find ways where build technology that creates common good for everyone. And I think that is something that we are not really recognizing. That's my one thing. Second thing, you mentioned about the climate crisis. So I had spoken to Gaia Harrington. So there's this report which was done in 1972 by MIT called the Limit to Growth Report. And I kind of mentioned this on possibly all of my talks, when it comes to sustainability, because what was the Limit to Growth Report 1972? In 1972, they took all the data, the environmental data, the population data, the industrial data, and so on and so forth. They fed it to an algorithm, evolutionary algorithm, and then the algorithm kind of predicted that the rate at which the humans are doing the consumption, by around 2040, it will lead to a global catastrophic event. Now in 2022, Gaia Harrington, she's the sustainability director at KPMG. She's the ex. Now she's moved on, joined another organization. She took the same World 3 model, fed in the current data of 2022, the same data, which is the population data, industrial data, and so on and so forth. And the model predicted, because of the consumption pattern, we humans are going towards a catastrophic event somewhere around 2040 odd. So the timelines are coming closer. There was around 4,000 scientists, maybe a couple of months back, had written a petition on warning about that how we have crossed the boundary of safety when it comes to climate crisis. UN declared a red code a couple of days back. Some climate scientists, again wrote that we have gone beyond that 1.5 degrees, which where are we at the current phase? I mean, how bad do you think the global situation is, when it comes to climate crisis? Are we gone beyond the point of no return?
Yeah. So, so let me start with the first thing that you mentioned, that the reason why we are in this situation, because, everybody, the corporates, including the individuals or even the government, they're all, moving aimlessly. There is no aim to what they want to do. And if I ask anybody, the one of the single thing that we are all missing from our education system is teaching our students what is the end game of your life. What do you want to do before you die? Or we should be asking this question to everybody. What is really what you want to achieve? What do you want to grow for? Why GDP should be growing? I keep asking in all my talk, why should I grow GDP? And they answer me, sir, because when you grow GDP, the prosperity increases. I said, wow, that's great thing. Country's GDP has been increasing from last 20 years. So every time when GDP grows, prosperity should be growing. People should become more happy. So tell me, if GDP grows by 5%, does the smile also grows by 5%? Is that happening? And answer is no. Are the smile going down? And answer is yes. There is an increase in depression. There's an increase in stress. There's an increase in violence. Every parameter that we are looking for in our life is going in opposite direction. Water quality is poor, air quality is poor, soil quality is poor, depression, stress, violence, climate change, global, everything is happening in opposite direction. But despite all this thing, every corporate, every government, every individual is pushing more growth, more. I don't know where they want to go, what they want to achieve. Ultimately, the purpose of growth has to be only the happiness, smile, health, comfortable. But that's not the case. There are more number of hospitals, So we are roaming around aimlessly. And I keep saying in all my talks that the modern humans, which means all of us, are the most stupid animal ever existed on this planet. Nobody can be more stupid than humans that who are polluting their same water, they are only going to drink. They are polluting the same air, they are only going to breathe. And they are polluting the same soil, they are only going to grow food and eat. What can be more crazier than this, right? So that is what we are doing. And that is as a result of that, we are in such a bad shape that you and I can't even guarantee that we are breathing a pure air. You and I can't even guarantee drinking a glass of water from the holiest of the holy river, even if it is Haridwar. You can't do that. You and I can't guarantee that the food that I'm eating is without any chemical. And we can't even guarantee for our children. Look at the kind of disaster that has already happened. Now, unfortunately, every physical system has a threshold limits. Every physical system. And the good example is rubber. You pull it and you leave it, it goes to the original state. But if you pull it beyond, it breaks down. You're not going to go back to the original state. The climate change, unfortunately, also has those threshold values, isn't it? And the 1.5 degrees centigrade of global warming is that single threshold. Now, at 1.5 degrees centigrade, I keep saying, no disaster suddenly will strike and everybody is going to die. And I keep saying, don't worry, itne aasan maut nahi milne wali. Nature is not going to kill you so easily, In a movie, a dangerous villain kills a hero, bit by bit, tadpa tadpa ke. Nature is also going to kill us, tadpa tadpa ke. What will happen? More floods, more droughts, more heat waves, more cold waves. And I was really hoping that this will appear, what is happening in 2024, this will happen around 29, 2030. That was my guess. But in the last 3-4 years, we can see how climate change is accelerating. So we are we are almost close to that threshold boundary and giving the benefit of doubt to the El Nino effect that happened in last year towards the December or so. I'm giving kind of a benefit of doubt. So we can still buy, a couple of more years before we touch 5 degrees, 1.5 degrees centigrade. But this is absolute beginning of irreversible changes. And for 2 degree, when the entire climate will be reversible, we are talking about only about 20 years, 25 years, maybe 22 years. Beyond that, no matter what humans do on this planet, even if we all decide to do nothing on this planet and decide to wear only a langot and do nothing, you will not be able to correct the climate change. And that's why if it is not now, it will be never. And Barack Obama, the ex-US president, put it very beautifully. He said, this generation is the first generation who would experience the climate change, and this will be the last generation to do something about it. If it is not us, then nobody will ever be able to correct the climate change, because it's an irreversible phenomena.
Thank you for being so honest. Because I guess the world loves to create narratives which is business friendly, which is correct to a certain group of people, and limit the facts. Because I mean, facts, I don't know if, like you said, I mean, you gave the example of the 6P problem, and nobody is listening, so I mean, you mentioned, I mean, like how Barack Obama said, it's now or never. I I I really hope, wish, and pray that we humans wake up, because I have a son who's 9 year old, and I'm concerned. And after speaking to you, yes, I mean, it would be, I mean, I'm scared also, but I hope that the world is also concerned, and I hope that they are all shit scared and they wake up from their slumber. Because, there is certain part of me where I still believe in humanity with all its flaws, like you said, we are the stupidest, beings in this planet, because we are the only being which has got this 3 pound of brain that we carry, which makes us smarter and intelligent than anybody else around, but also stupider than anybody else around, because we pollute our own water, we pollute our own food, and we are selfish, and so on and so forth. But I also hope that we somehow have the capabilities to make changes at the precipice, at the last moment. And I really hope and I pray that there are bright minds such as yourself are able to connect to the younger generation, because they are the ones who care. Because I think a certain age group is so concerned about economical benefits and running the race, that they have missed out on what life is all about. Like you said, I mean, we are all running in this race of nowhere, but we all should be happy, because economically India is growing. It's becoming really powerful. We've got the money, we've got the funds, we've the shopping, but we've got depression, we've got diseases, we've got sickness. So yes, I think we living in this world where we if we don't take a step right now, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm scared, but yeah.
You're scared but hopeful, right?
Yes.
Well, let's understand that 3 things will not work. If you're following those 3 things, it will not solve the problem. Number 1, policy making is not going to work. And I'm saying this because right from the 1997, when we signed the Kyoto Protocol, first time the world says, okay, let's do something. And the rich countries have took the honors to reduce carbon emission. Nothing happened. Then the COP meetings started. And as you said, 28 COP meetings have happened. 28 years, big leaders of the world, presidents and prime ministers have been coming and discussing together to solve the problem of climate change. It is not working. We have Paris Agreement, one of the most powerful agreement that is ever possible to be signed by 195 countries, rich and poor countries equal. That we are going to reduce our carbon emission by almost 50% by 2030. That has not worked. Carbon emissions are actually rising rather than going down. So number 1, policies are not going to work. Let's be clear. Number 2, then what should we do? Shall we make more scientific and technological development? No, because that is also growing very fast. Last 30 years and 40 years, look at where science is growing. We have now AIs and MLs and whatnot, and we can go to the moon and send our mission to the Mars and whatnot. So technological and scientific growth is happening, and that is also resulting in worsening of a problem. So technology will not work. Number 3, shall we grow more economically and make everybody double rich and triple rich and 4 times rich, and will that solve the problem? Answer is also no, because again, world GDP is growing, India's GDP is growing. So problem is actually also growing. So let us pause, and I want really world to understand this. I want every citizen to understand that, hello guys, three things are not going to work. It has not worked in the past: policy making, technology, and economic growth. Then the question is, what is going to work? Then how are you going to solve the problem? Well, through two ways. Number one, let us recognize some boundary conditions of living on this planet. And I keep asking people, don't you have rules of living in your home? People say, yes, we have. What is the rule? We put shoes and sleepers outside. We cook food in the kitchen. We sleep in the bedroom. We take bath in the bathroom. For a small space that you're using 1200, 1500 square feet, there are rules and everybody follows that. And this bigger home, the planet Earth, is there any rule that we should follow? Has anybody, any parents, any teacher, any politician, policymaker ever told you, like, look, guys, there has to be rules of living on this planet. It's our home. You can't just live the way you want. And therefore, I have designed what I call them two fundamental laws of human existence, or sustainability. And you can call them Solanki's fundamental laws of human existence. And I'm guaranteeing everywhere, right on your wall. And if you don't follow any of this law, I guarantee you the humanity will not survive. They will meet the fate of what dinosaurs have done. So law number one, in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be finite consumption. That is the first boundary condition. And because science is growing, technology is growing, economy is growing, size of the planet is not growing, for the God's sake. Let us understand the water is not growing, the minerals are not growing, nothing is growing. Only the humans think that we should grow more and we should produce more and we should consume more. I mean, how is it possible? The planet itself is not growing. When your salary is fixed, your expenses have to be fixed. You can't spend more than what you're earning. So therefore, we can't grow. And the rule number one of living on this planet is, because size of the planet and resources are fixed, our consumption has to be fixed, which we are violating every single day. Everybody is producing more, growing more. So not possible. You will anyway, be here for someday for this. Second law is, in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be distributed production. Because every time when you centralize the production, it always results in unequal distribution by the nature, like AI, like, and only few people will control. The benefit will go to only few people, but the loss will happen to everyone. So whenever you centralize, there's unequal distribution, it results in inequity. And that's what the characteristic of a current model, that the rich becomes richer and poor becomes poorer. What is happening? The gap between the society is increasing every passing year. And this gap is like almost, equivalent of, this is the potential difference between two wires. More the potential difference, higher is the chance of sparking. More is the gap in the society, higher is the chance of violence, lack of peace. And that's what is happening. Science growing, technology, economy, everything is growing. Brotherhood is not growing. The love between people is not growing. Rather, violence is growing. Because we are violating this second law, are not localizing our production. We are centralizing our production. So limiting and localizing, these are the two boundary conditions. Anything that you do on this planet, if you don't abide by these two boundary conditions, I guarantee you that human life will not survive on this planet. Write it on the wall somewhere. And what we are doing, we are violating every day. So as per the current and as per whatever you are saying, yes, we will not survive. And we say that once upon a time, there were dinosaurs on this planet. If we continue to behave in the same manner, some 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years later, a new species will be there on this planet, and they will say, once upon a time, there were humans on this planet. Wow. So limit and localizing, these are the fundamental boundary conditions that I keep saying, and Solanki's fundamental laws of human existence. And if you want to exist, follow these boundary conditions.
Professor, thank you for sharing the laws. Yes, I hope that we, abide by that, because I see a constant consumption without any conservation, thinking that, a world has got finite resources. And yes, I think a centralized world structure has created so many problems, top-down hierarchically. So thank you for sharing these laws. And I really hope that, the listeners kind of think about it, because yes, otherwise we will be, like you said, maybe 3,000 years or 5,000 years, whenever like another species kind of emerges from like all destruction, they will say once upon a time humans were there. Can you talk about the Energy Swaraj Foundation and your 11-year Energy Swaraj Yatra? Do share your travel journey, your challenges, and your learnings from this.
Well, I mean, so in 2019, I happened to travel all across the world as part of my another yatra. That year, we celebrated 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, and I wanted young students to actually, learn to make their own solar lamp and start studying in solar lamps so that they don't use the carbon-based electricity, so that they don't cause violence to the environment. So when I'm using electricity, carbon-based, I'm emitting carbon dioxide, and that is violence to environment. And I wanted young children to do that. And non-violence to environment is a universal thing every child should learn. And therefore, I took a special leave and I traveled across the world, 30 countries, rich countries, poor countries, developed countries, developing countries, to bring the message and bring everybody on board. So thankfully, some 9.25 lakh students actually joined us on single day to 2nd October 2019 to learn their own solar lamp and take a pledge of non-violence to environment. It was a wonderful event. But what I learned from this global yatra is that number one common thing that I found everywhere is the traffic jams, and I was astonished. Oh my God! I mean, how can everywhere traffic jam? In the poorest poor country, Uganda, there is a traffic jam. In Paris, there is a traffic jam. In Washington, DC, traffic jam. And I was surprised. And why? Then I thought one country can go wrong in planning. Two countries can go wrong. How can every country go wrong in planning? That kind of opened my eyes. Oh my God, there is a bigger locha in this world, the much bigger level locha that we call it, right? As you said earlier, that we are trying to grow at the cost of everything else. We are even willing to pollute the same water that we are going to drink. We are even willing to pollute the same air that we are only going to. At that extent of stupidity, we are all trying to grow. And rich and poor equal, same way. There is, I don't see any difference between the East and West and Europe and America and Africa and India. It's all everybody, the human behavior remains same. And that is when I started thinking that if, how do I solve the problem? I don't want to do something which is just a feel-good factor. In fact, there is another problem with all the people who are actually have little understanding and they want to do something. They all do the feel-good factor thing. They all feel doing something and nothing result, climate becoming worse every day. So I thought I will not do the feel-good factor. I really want to see the change within my life, And that's why I thought if Mahatma Gandhi would have been here on this planet, what he would have done? He would have, he would have done some march and some, fasting or something. Fasting I can't do. I can't live without food more than 4 hours. So I'm designed to, I eat little, but I can't do fasting. And it's a modern time. So I thought, we should do some yatra, but not a pad yatra, but maybe yatra so that we can cover the whole planet. And this globe is a problem. It's a human problem of the entire, globe. So that's why I decided that I want to do something, but that something cannot be 1 or 2 years or 5 years because it's a global problem. Number two, also I decided that it cannot be done in part and parcel, that you take break on Saturday, Sundays and Holy Diwali. So I thought I decided to not go home for 11 years. I pledged that I will not go home until I go all over the country, until I meet millions of people, until we actually solve this problem. So complete focus. So that's why I decided to build a bus where I can live and sleep and work for that. And that's why today is 1283rd day of my yatra. So it's already 3.5 years are gone and another some 2,400 odd days are remaining. But it has been great experience and many things I have learned myself. And as a professor of IIT Bombay, I did not know many things. I did not know the solution exactly. What does the solution look like? But I can tell you now with the complete confidence that I know the solution of climate crisis and how to go about it. I have learned one thing is that before I talk about solar energy as any other energy form, we have to understand the game of energy. The whole world is a play of energy, And I have developed a course called Energy Literacy course. In fact, I believe it is such a powerful course and every user of energy should be energy literate I have written it on my shirt. You can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
You can see, right?
Yeah.
I am energy literate. Are you?
Right.
It is the illiteracy of energy of the world that has created the problem. And first step for climate solution is everybody, every user of energy should become energy literate. That is the first step that we all take. And there are many other solutions we have to write. So that's the whole purpose of my yatra. Number one, to bring the sense to people that we are behaving in a very stupid manner. Number two, bring the sense to people that I am that person, not the industry who has created a problem, not the fuel as a problem. The user of the fuel is a problem. So every user, the rich and poor and American, African, young, old, rural, urban, everybody is a part of problem and everybody has to be part of the solution. Third thing is we are running out of time. It is now or never. So these are the basic kind of ideas that I would like to convey to my audiences. And I developed several tools and techniques that people can use to simplify the solution so that they are not bogged down by this big global problem and they're lost into what they have to do in their life. So I believe and I feel that, yes, my approach is now clear and people are listening to some extent, but not enough. We need million times more people to join and become part of this energy Swaraj. So I believe the wrong energy is a problem, the carbon-based energy. And we have to go to the right energy, the solar energy, but in the right way. And that right way is, I have developed an approach called AMG approach. I'll come to that AMG, that right way. And it has to be done at the right time. Right now is the time. So when we put all this together, then we move towards what I call energy independence or energy Swaraj or energy Atmanirbharta. And I believe that it's energy that is running the world. It's a wrong energy that has created a problem. The right energy will solve it and will not solve one problem of energy only. It will solve all the problems that humanity is facing. The problem of employment, the problem of local economy development, the problem of women empowerment, the problem of depression, stress, violence. I believe that when you localize your energy solution, all other problems will automatically be solved because the whole world is a play of energy. It's running with the wrong energy. Let's get to the right energy, the positive, the creative energy, the sustainable energy. And I think then everything will be solved and we can restore the balance.
Professor, thank you for sharing this. And I hope that the listeners, I hope you find more listeners, the right listeners. And through those partnerships, I hope and I really wish and I pray that you manage to drive the conversation of a sustainable future. Because there are, like you said, there are not many people who actually understand the problem itself. There is this guy called Tony Seba, who I follow, who I think is brilliant and narrates the importance and urgency of transitioning from a fossil fuel to clean energy very beautifully. And I think you are the only guy who I've spoken to who in this conversation. I mean, you've just blown my mind by speaking the truth, the facts. And I hope that the world becomes energy literate, like you said, because that's the only way we will have a world. Because the world doesn't need people. It keeps on moving. It always has, its inhabitants, the dinosaurs or the Neanderthals. They have come, they have gone, no problem. Earth is still there and will keep on living. It's us which is in the verge of extinction. So we don't need to save the planet. Planet does not need any saving. The humans need the saving. Yeah. And if we do not take the right step right now, like you said, there won't be any humans left. And I hope that we listen to this urgent plea of yours. AMG approach. What is it? Can you explain that, please?
Well, so finally, how do I approach the right energy? And right energy, obviously solar energy. But you can't do it in the manner we are doing in the country right now. And let me share a small story to bring a sense why I'm saying this. So once I was in Gujarat and, I keep talking. And then after my lecture, somebody came to me and said, "Sir, thank you so much. You opened my eyes." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Sir, my sister called me and said, brother, I have installed 6 kilowatt solar system at home." And she said, earlier there was AC in one room. Now all the three rooms have got AC, and still I'm saving electricity, right? So people unfortunately are using solar energy to save money, not to save environment. पैसा बचाने के लिए उपयोग करना और पर्यावरण बचाने के लिए उपयोग करना, they are two different things. And therefore, I have created this approach called AMG. A is avoid the use of energy as much as possible, even if it is solar energy. Rule number one of using solar energy is do not use solar energy. Don't use solar energy. People get surprised because I'm solar professor and solar man of India and this and that, and they feel that I'm the one who is saying use solar, use solar. I said no. Rule number one of using solar is do not use solar energy, because I did PhD in solar. I know what it takes to make a solar cell. How much mining that goes behind. Silicon has a melting temperature of 1480 degrees centigrade. You have to melt it almost 3 times. And then you have to make silicon crystal and solar cell and then module. For making module, you require glass. And then you require aluminum frame. So you need aluminum mining and glass and everything. Then you need iron structure to erect the module. So you need iron mining and you need processing. Then you need copper cable to take the power out. Then you need inverter. So all these materials, we need mining, we need chemicals, we need electricity. It's all going to result in some use of chemicals, energy. And as a result, there will be some emission of carbon. Not zero. It will be some. So therefore, it is important that solar also has some side effect. Let us understand. It is not absolute best technology. Nothing can be absolute best in terms of physics. Also, there is always entropy increases. Nothing can be absolute best. So what you can do? Avoid what is avoidable. And what is avoidable? I mean, hell, a lot of things are avoidable in our life. It's not even required. When I started looking at my home, what is avoidable? First thing I saw, the fridge is avoidable. You don't need refrigerator. And last 7 years, 6 years almost, we have not used any refrigerator. There's no refrigerator. There's no geyser at my home. There is no air conditioner in my home. I have stopped ironing my clothes. It's not with that I cannot afford. I'm a professor of IIT Bombay. I can afford. But let us understand, nature cannot afford. You may be rich enough to buy 2 houses and 40 pairs of clothes and 3 cars, but nature cannot afford it because nature is finite. Nature is not growing. Only you are growing. Only human ambition is growing. So therefore, avoid what is avoidable, and 1/3 energy need should be avoided, at least 1/3, easily. And we have done this experiment many times, and now there are many people who are actually trying to cut down on their energy needs, avoid what is avoidable. If you cannot avoid, minimize it. How do I minimize it? Use energy efficiently and compare, for example, fluorescent light with LED lights. It is 50% more efficient, 50% saving of electricity, 50% carbon emission saving. Compare a normal induction motor fan with the brushless DC motor fan. 50-60% saving of power and equivalent saving of electricity. Compare 2-star appliances with a 5-star AC. Compare 2-star fridge. So just by efficiency alone, you can actually save almost 40% electricity, at least 30% electricity. So minimize another 1/3, use it very, very efficiently. So minimize, avoid 1/3, minimize 1/3. If you cannot minimize, then as a last option, only as a last option, generate only 1/3, but generate it locally wherever you are. Don't generate 500 kilometers and put all transmission lines and distribution lines and transformers and say, wow, we are producing solar. No, generate wherever you are. How much? 1/3. So that is the model AMG. Avoid 1/3, minimize 1/3, generate 1/3. AMG, avoid, minimize, generate. And if you're not going to follow AMG, you'll have to say OMG, oh my God, solar is expensive. Oh my God, rooftop space is not there. Oh my God, policy is not there. Oh my God, subsidy is not there. All kind of excuses will come. And when you follow AMG, your needs are so little, you don't need government. You don't need policy. You don't need anything. And that is where I believe very fast spread of solar energy or renewable energy will happen. It will not happen through policies and technologies and subsidies. Right. That is AMG.
Right. Professor, thank you for sharing those insights. And I hope that we move away from our current consumption. You rightfully pointed out, every technology has its own pros as well as cons, and so has solar. So avoid what is avoidable. I think we have gotten into a world where everybody is so envious of others or trying to be someone else. We've forgotten to be ourselves. we are not looking into who we are and what's our role on planet Earth. We are constantly looking at Facebook and someone or something flashy. Either we want to achieve that or we want to be like that person. And we've forgotten that, when we do that, only thing that we become is a copycat. And there is and originality will always cut through. Whether you are a small person somewhere, I think there is so much hierarchy and this whole expectation out of the younger generation, from parents, from the education institutes, from the governments. Everybody says, oh, that's Elon Musk, you got to be him, or that's Ronaldo, Sachin Tendulkar. How about, be yourself, be happy, spread goodness, find a way where you can heal yourself and heal the planet. I hope that we have more conversations like that, because I think that's the only way where our world will become a better place. Professor, it was a complete pleasure and a honor to be having this time and this conversation with you. I learned so many things. I myself am not doing so many things which is right, and because of you, those things kind of look, though I have like a lot of solar panels, in my home and stuff like that. But then there are so many other things, I guess we are constantly looking outwards and blaming others. I think self-reflection is so needed in a world where we are constantly looking, laughing at somebody else, he was doing wrong. Oh, that one is, but I think we need to look inward, and I think once we correct ourselves.
Somebody said beautifully, and I remember that, in India on Diwali, the Dashera, that everybody loves to, burn Ravan without recognizing whether there is a Ram inside them or not,
Perfect. Professor, thank you for taking time and being part of the podcast. Would you be able to leave us with your advice to the younger generation? Because I think they are the ones who are listening. They are the ones who have their head yet open. What would be your advice to them, the ones who are the willing lot to change?
It's very simple. I keep saying everywhere, that whenever in my talks, I ask people, what do you want? Do you want growth or climate change solutions? So all the young generation say we want climate change solution. The old generation, they don't say anything. And I was wondering, why the old people who are in 40s and 50s, 60s don't say anything. Then suddenly I realized one day that all those who are in 50s and 60s, they will go somewhere up, another 20, 30 years remaining life. But all the young people who are in schools and colleges, they are going to stay on this planet for another 60, 70 years. They are the one who are going to suffer. And therefore, everybody who's listening to me, guys, wake up. Let us realize that, the older generation is really not going to do much because they are all in their, growth and this. Let us realize what is the end game of your life. What do you want? And what I want from every, Gita says that everything that we do in our life, the only one objective is, I want to be happy. Why should I eat ice cream? Is it ice cream survival for my life? No, I do it because I enjoy it. Why do I want to be recognized by people? Because I love it. I feel happy. Why do I want to earn more money? Because I feel happy. Why should somebody say good to me? Because I feel happy. What I'm saying is, the end result of every action that we want to take is that we want happiness. We want to become happy. And if you want to become happy, the route need not to be set that long that you go and become a doctorate and earn a lot of money and then have big house and big car, then only you become happy. No, you can be happy wherever you are in doing simple thing and being yourself, whoever you are, be yourself and you can be happy. And when being happy is the target of your life, believe me, you don't have to be the criminal part of the other humanity, which is actually trying to accumulate resources and pumping so much of carbon dioxide, which is very, very long life. Once you pump carbon dioxide, is going to be there for 300. You don't want to be part of that crime. You don't want to be that puppy inside you who is actually pumping so much carbon that your future generation are going to suffer and crib for you. So let us take things in our own control, avoid, minimize, and generate. Being happy is the most important objective in my life, and there can be 100 ways of doing it. Let's do that. And if it is not now, it is not going to be ever. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And I did myself, I did everything that I am talking to people myself. And if you do that, everybody is going to listen to you. So be the change, bring the change in your life, understand the game of energy. And I'm sure you yourself become the source of energy and inspiration to 1,000 others. Then only we can solve the problem of the world. Let's go beyond policies and technologies. We need to create a movement, when everybody thinks that he needs to cut down on carbon emission because he feels that it is his duty for the nature, for himself, and for the children. Let us all do that, and we are running out of time. Let's create a movement and solve the problem together. Let's make this planet a better place to live for yourself, for ourselves, and our future generation.
Thank you, Professor. What a profound note to end on. Yes, be the change and find your happiness. I mean, the earth, it's so beautiful. It's a small dot in this huge expanse of nothingness, complete darkness. In that earth, we have life emerged from single cell to multi-cell to we humans. And humans are the only thing which got this 3-pound brain, and we've got smartness as well as stupidity. I hope that we use the smartness to save our earth, because earth is giving us everything. It's free food, free air, free water, free clean energy. It's the institutions, the governments comes and corrupts. I hope that people are listening. Thank you, Professor. Really, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. To my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you, Professor. Really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.